A premium jar of cutting board conditioner can cost $20, even though the useful part inside is just mineral oil and beeswax melted together. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own food-safe board conditioner for about $2, how to adjust the recipe for different kinds of wood, and how to use it to rescue a dry, stained, thirsty cutting board before it starts looking like an old dock. The method is simple. 4 parts: food-grade mineral oil, 1 part pure beeswax, low heat, and a little patience. That tiny jar will protect cutting boards, butcher blocks, wooden spoons, salad bowls, rolling pins, and even wooden knife handles. The surprising part is how many household wood surfaces can use the same treatment. I keep a small jar of this kind of conditioner in the kitchen because it solves a problem before it becomes an expensive replacement. The best batch also gives you a chance to customize the finish instead of buying whatever formula happens to be sitting beside the cutting boards at the store. Start with food-grade mineral oil. It needs to be the type sold for cutting boards, butcher blocks, or food contact surfaces. Do not substitute olive oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, or anything else from the cooking shelf just because it is already in the house. Those oils can oxidize and become sticky or rancid inside the wood. A cutting board should smell like wood, not like a forgotten salad dressing. Next, use pure beeswax. Pellets are easiest because they melt evenly, but a clean block of beeswax works too. Avoid wax with furniture polish, fragrance dye, or mystery ingredients mixed into it. You are making a finish for a surface that touches food, so this is not the moment to add lavender oil and pretend the cutting board is going to a spa. The basic formula is 4 parts mineral oil to 1 part beeswax by weight. For a useful small batch, use 80 grams of mineral oil and 20 grams of beeswax. That gives you enough to fill a small jar and still have some left for future applications. If you do not own a kitchen scale, use 4 tablespoons of oil and 1 tablespoon of shaved beeswax as a rough starting point. Weight is more reliable, but this recipe is forgiving. The cost can land around $2 per small batch when you divide the ingredients across several uses. If you have to buy every ingredient from scratch, the first shopping trip will cost more than $2, obviously. But you're not using the entire bottle of oil or the entire bag of wax on one board. That is the important comparison. The store-bought jar charges you for the finished portion every time. Your ingredients keep producing more jars. Put the mineral oil and beeswax into a heat-safe container and place that container inside a saucepan with a shallow amount of water. This is a simple double boiler. Warm the water gently and stir until the wax disappears into the oil. Do not put the container directly on a burner, and do not heat the mixture aggressively. Beeswax is flammable, and the kitchen already has enough opportunities to become an emergency documentary. Low indirect heat is safer and gives you more control. Once the mixture is clear, remove it from the heat and pour it into a clean, dry jar. Let it cool without moving it. As the beeswax hardens, it turns the thin oil into a soft balm that can be spread across the wood in a very thin layer. The texture tells you whether you got the ratio right. If it is too runny, after cooling, melt it again and add a little more beeswax. If it is hard and difficult to spread, warm it gently and add a little more mineral oil. A 4-to-1 mixture gives you a soft, easily spreadable conditioner. A 3-to-1 mixture creates a firmer wax for boards that get heavy use. A 5-to-1 mixture stays softer and is useful when you want the oil to soak more deeply into very dry end grain wood. That adjustable texture is one of the reasons I prefer making it myself. A cutting board used every day may benefit from a firmer protective layer. A decorative wooden bowl or a dry rolling pin may be easier to treat with a softer mixture. One formula does not need to serve every piece of wood in the kitchen. Before applying it, wash the board and let it dry completely. Not mostly dry, completely dry. If water is still trapped in the grain, the conditioner cannot penetrate evenly, and you end up sealing moisture into the board. That is how small problems become warped boards and strange smells. For a board that is already rough, lightly sand it first with fine sandpaper. Around 220 grit is a good starting point. Sand in the direction of the grain, remove the dust, and then apply the conditioner. You're not trying to carve the board into a new shape. You are just knocking down the raised fibers that catch your knife, sponge, and fingertips. Scoop out a small amount with a clean cloth. You need far less than you think. Rub it into the board in circles, then finish by following the grain. Cover the top, bottom, and edges. The edges are often ignored, but they are exposed to water every time the board is washed and placed beside the sink. Leave the conditioner on for several hours, or overnight if the board is very dry. Then wipe away anything sitting on the surface. The finished board should feel smooth and satin-like, not greasy. If your cloth keeps picking up oil, you use too much. The wood needs to absorb the treatment. It does not need to be buried under it. If you are still watching, you are clearly interested in practical ways to make ordinary things last longer. Subscribing is free and helps support the channel, and members get access to members-only videos where I test more of these low-cost household fixes. Now, back to the wood, because there is a useful test that prevents you from over-treating it. Drop a few drops of water on the board. If the water immediately disappears into the wood, the board is thirsty and needs another thin coat. If the drops sit on the surface and bead for a while, the finish is doing its job. This is a better guide than applying conditioner on a fixed schedule because different boards absorb treatment at different rates. End grain cutting boards usually need more attention because their exposed wood fibers act like a bundle of tiny straws. They absorb moisture quickly, but they also dry out quickly. Edge grain boards are less demanding. A light treatment every few weeks may be enough, especially if you wash them correctly. And washing correctly does not mean soaking the board in a sink. Clean it shortly after use with warm water and mild dish soap. Then dry it standing upright or on its edge so air can reach both sides. Do not leave it flat on a wet counter. Wood is not a ceramic plate. It moves, absorbs, and releases moisture. It has opinions. The same conditioner can be used on wooden spoons, spatulas, salad servers, breadboards, and rolling pins. These items often become pale and fuzzy because they are washed repeatedly but never replenished. Apply a thin coat, leave it overnight, and wipe it clean before using them again. It also works beautifully on wooden salad bowls. Use less than you would on a cutting board, because bowls often have a smoother surface and do not need a heavy wax layer. A thin coat restores the depth of the wood and makes the bowl less likely to grab onto dry food residue. For wooden knife handles, apply the conditioner to the handle only. Keep it away from the blade, especially if the blade has a finish or coating that you do not want to alter. Rub it in, let it sit, then buff it dry. The result is a handle that feels less chalky and is less vulnerable to water damage. Here is another useful trick. Make one jar for maintenance and one jar for rescue work. Use the standard 4-to-1 mixture for routine care. For a badly dried butcher block, use the softer 5-to-1 mixture and apply 2 very thin coats several hours apart instead of 1 thick coat. The first coat opens the door for the second. A thick coat just sits there looking productive. For a cutting board that smells strange, conditioner is not the first step. Wash the board, dry it completely, and deal with the odor before sealing the surface. A paste made from coarse salt and a small amount of water can help scrub away residue. Do not flood the board with lemon juice and leave it wet for an hour. Acid can brighten the surface temporarily, but moisture is still moisture, and wood does not appreciate theatrical cleaning rituals. Do not add citrus juice, perfume, or essential oils to the conditioner. They may make the jar smell exciting, but they do not improve the basic protection, and some can leave unwanted residue on a food contact surface. Mineral oil keeps the wood flexible, while beeswax slows water movement across the surface. That is the entire mechanism. 2 ingredients, each doing a very specific job. The mineral oil moves into the pores and reduces how quickly the wood absorbs water. The beeswax remains closer to the surface and creates a breathable barrier. It does not turn the board into plastic, and it does not make the board permanently waterproof. It simply gives the wood a better chance against repeated washing, spills, and the occasional person who leaves a wet sponge on it overnight. Store the finished conditioner in a cool, dark cupboard with the lid closed. Label the jar so nobody mistakes it for cooking fat. It should last a long time, and because you only use a small amount each time, one batch can maintain several boards for months. That is the whole advantage of this recipe. You are not buying a magical wood treatment. You are buying 2 ordinary materials, combining them in the correct ratio, and applying a thin coat whenever the wood actually needs it. The $20 jar is convenient, but the $2 jar is just as customizable and gives you enough material for the next round. I've never liked replacing useful kitchen tools simply because they were allowed to dry out. Make this once, keep it beside the sink, and your boards and wooden utensils can stay smooth, quiet, and usable for years. If this saved you money, share the video and subscribe for more practical fixes. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.